intentional, right? Like, I really don't do podcasts or do collaboration. Then on top of that, I don't want to interfere with anything that's going on with the JBP. And on top of that, I was going to do something personal. I was really going to do something personal, y'all. Like, just my mental wasn't... Oh, hey, Chatterboxx.
My bad, y'all, about the sound in that last video. I am a work in progress, much like Mona and QueenzFlip. And speaking of QueenzFlip, did y'all check out his last stream? He came back on Kick and was streaming. If you're not subscribed, go over there and check him out. He was on there for about 7 or so hours, and he replayed the clip where Mona was breaking down on his stream the prior day about what happened between the two of them behind the scenes. And a lot of y'all were also surprised in the comments at how quiet Flip was during that stream. But they have been telling you over and over that the performative Flip that you see on the pod is not QueenzFlip behind the scenes. But let's listen to what he had to say, his take on it, and I'll come back after and share my thoughts with you.
First and foremost, let me just address this real quick. Shout out to Mona. Shout out to the Joe Budden Podcast. I think that it's important to be surrounded by people like that, like-minded people that want to see you win and put you in position. I appreciate Mona coming up here to talk about what we went through and the situation that happened, because it was a situation. And I'm happy that she opened it up, and I'm happy that she felt good about it to open up. And it's never personal with me. I be in my own world. I be in my own mood, my own feelings. I be just somewhere else ignoring my... But shout out to her for even being that understanding to come up out of it after. Sometimes you got to be saved from your own self, and that's what's important. When save you from your own self, when niggas don't try to embarrass you, make you look away or feel away because of any internal feelings. That's why I fuck with Joe and I fuck with everybody else. It's important for you to get past things because life isn't kind. So for Mona to come up there and talk about that and speak highly about my name, for Ish and Mark to speak highly on my name, it means a lot.
Okay, so we're going to fast forward a little bit because that video is pinned below where you can watch the full story on what happened between QueenzFlip and Mona. And this is going back some 9-10 months ago. And let's pick up at this part.
So I would even catch Flip laughing at the jokes, right? And he would laugh like this when I crack a joke. like I don't want to laugh at this bitch. Milf, do you know I walked up to him one day? Swear to God, we outside. I'm like, I got him. We outside. I'm just going to ask him, right? Plus, I was talking to my friend. I'm like, I really want him to come on my podcast, and I want to come on his show. I never did a stream. I want to fuck with him. Just ask him. It's Flip. He a cool. Just ask him, yo. Flip the type of if I see him in person, I would just walk up to him. He cool as shit. Cool. Milfy, I walked up to him. I said, hey. I said, yo, I love everything you got going on. I'm a big fan. I said, yo, you gonna come on my pod, I'm gonna come on yours. We gonna do each other's show, and we going to. He said, nah.
I'm not.
She's right.
This me thinking he's playing.
Now, I want to address that real quick. That's something that I have an issue with when it comes to people and things. I have an issue with that where it comes to me not being kind or understanding. I was out of line for even saying no to Mona. You know what I mean? I was out of line, and I feel bad. I really do. I feel bad. It wasn't intentional, right? Like, I really don't do podcasts or do collaboration. Then on top of that, I don't want to interfere with anything that's going on with the JBP. And on top of that, I was going to do something personal. I was really going to do something personal, y'all. Like, just my mental wasn't there. So if you know, you don't see me do a lot of features, a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? However, I could understand how somebody's feelings can be hurt if they're looking forward to meet you and you just standoffish. I'm extremely apologetic. It's not personal. And I told her, I said, yo, it's not personal, man. Let me change the title. It's not personal. It's not nothing that I meant to do or meant to treat you a certain way. I just be in my own world. And the question I have for y'all, is it possible to be in your own world without offending people? Because I just didn't want to do anything. And how do you reject somebody like that? Did my short snapness make it worse? Tell me.
With QueenzFlip, I have noticed a huge difference since last year. Let's rewind back to about 11 months ago. InvestFest has came and gone. So yeah, about 11 or 12 months, I did a video that was talking about on the pod, Joe Budden and the cast were saying that they needed to have an intervention with QueenzFlip. And it was at the time where Flip had the fight at the parade. Joe was joking on the pod about things, different little things that were inside jokes or knowledge that was going on with Flip. He had his hand wrapped up at one point. He later on in the pod divulged some other things that were of his personal business. I'm not sure if that was on the main or Patreon, but I also at the time did a video and told you guys, because Flip was missing in action for a bit, that Mama Flip had permission to, on her channel, I do follow her as well. She does live reporting from courthouses and different cases and things like that. But she did a video where it was talking about some personal things that QueenzFlip was going through that she had permission to share and wanted to explain what was going on, because it was at a time where what was going on was going to cause him to possibly miss some of the events that he had booked, as well as some other things. And again, it's family business. So if you want to watch it, the video might still be up on her channel, but it lines up. So I know Flip is not BSing us. It lines up with the timeline with everything that, when he's saying he has personal stuff going on. So given that information, I can imagine along with that, Flip was saying his funds had been frozen, and that it was at a time where he had tweeted that Ian Dunlap had helped him out because of that. And then we saw him at InvestFest, and even at InvestFest, he was a bit standoffish. And I'm not sure if that's because people were approaching him as fans and trying to do skits and what have you. And then add into that when Joe Budden was joking with him about when he gets his new cast and ending his contract, all those kind of little jokes and jabs seem like they may have gotten to Flip. And then here comes Mona, the new hire, the other comedian who he may have taken, like, she's coming in here to take my spot. So you add all that in together and it was bound to boil over. But you can definitely see the shift and the growth and maturity in QueenzFlip from last year to this year, even with him being on the pod. He's a little less turned up and turns up when he has to. But all in all, you can definitely see the growth with him. But I would just imagine at that time, you have all that going on. You have, your family relying on you. You might have other people, employees plugged into you. You got bills out here that you might be playing 3-cup money. I think that's what it's called, right? Trying to shuffle your bills around to figure out what you're going to pay. Your funds are frozen. You have real life things going on. And then in my mind, when they're telling this story, how I envision it happening, and it's not funny, but it's just how I saw it is, Flip comes in and he might be on the balcony trying to get into his mode to pod. And then you have Mona, like when she said she was nose to nose with him, like, rah, you're going to pod with me. Rah, you're going to come on my pod. Rah. Like, she just is really animated and energetic. And, with Mona's still on my list. I'm not going to say what it was again, because again, some things do have real life consequences, and I might have felt one way, y'all might have felt a different way, but I didn't like it. So I spoke on it and I was very careful of the language I use. But I feel like with Mona makes me laugh, but there's some things that I don't like that she does. And I do feel like she also has room for improvement, and hopefully we'll see that growth over time, because she is funny. I like her monologues. I like when she was telling, the documentaries, and Mona is a person that moves to the beat of her own drum. So she's got some growth she needs to do and some things that she does not need to be doing. The two of them coming together on this stream speaks volumes. It speaks volumes from where they were and where they are now. And while they're not in that place anymore, I can see how if Flip was going through things and Mona was new coming in and she was super excited and had all this energy, and both of them are energetic people on the pod and animated to begin with. But at that time, I can see how Mona could have easily been offended by Flip just shutting it down, especially when she may have looked up to him, like she explained, where she had been following him or watching his content at the very least since the days of him being in the car with his son and the cereal skits and all that stuff. Now, was it okay to just really be in your own world and so deep in your own world that you just reject Mona's offer and just shut her down completely and just no and just walk away, as opposed to just saying, all right, I'll consider it, or let's talk about it in a few weeks? He could have given a more friendly answer than probably what he gave Mona. So I can understand where she is coming from, but it seems the two of them have worked through it and are showing each other grace. And hopefully we'll all give them grace, because we're all a work in progress and there is no manual to this thing. Okay. And hopefully we'll see this be reflected on the pod, because it looks like Joe Budden is ready to turn it up. He is not waiting for fourth quarter. So if we've got Mona and Flip in a good space, good energy, and they are ready to go for it, we are about to have some good pod moments where we are going to be laughing. Let's hope, fingers and toes crossed. But let me know what you think about Flip's take on it after you saw Mona's take. If you didn't see it, it is pinned below in the comments. Make sure you go subscribe to QueenzFlip where he is streaming, and drop your thoughts below in the comments. And as always, let's talk about it. Like, share, and subscribe. Share with a friend. And you can become a supporter if you enjoy rocking with yours truly, Chatterboxx. Until next time.